Yeah, it's been 2 years now that the world has been struggling with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's really devastating in some parts of the world. Nigeria is not an exemption in this whole scenario of COVID-19 pandemic. It has been something that we must come together to actually stem the tide, not even about the numbers of people that have been infected or number of cases, looking at about 194 million cases across the world and 4.16 million deaths. In Nigeria, we have 172,000 cases, whereby 165,000 people have recovered from COVID-19. This is not the whole story. But the most important thing is that we must stem the tide. We must stop the ravaging and rampaging COVID-19 pandemic. We are in the third wave right now, and it is something else. So all effort must be geared towards solving this whole problem. We have not gotten cure to this, but the world is going through vaccination. Today, the religious community will also be adding their voices and effort towards ameliorating the entire problem of COVID-19 pandemic. On the Interfaith platform this evening, we'll be looking at the very important scenario of the COVID-19 pandemic, vaccination, and also the third wave that we've just gotten into, and how the religious leaders, organizations, institutions, how have they been able to assist government to complement the effort of the authorities in actually curbing the scourge of COVID-19. So in this regard, this will be our topic today. Once again, let me welcome you to the Interfaith platform. I'm your sincere host, Imam Shefi Abdul Karim Majemu. Well, you can join us on this program while watching. You can also watch us on our Facebook, the Interfaith platform, our YouTube channels, the Interfaith platform. You can also join us on our live stream, nta2.tv. You can also join us on this. We're there for you. We also like to appreciate our sponsors on this program, Right Foods Nigeria Limited, makers of Biggie product brands, and also Fearless. Thank you so much. We'll go for a short break right now, and that will be the scriptural reflection section. This would create the platform, the lead for us to go into the topic proper. When we return, I will be introducing to you our guest on this program this evening. We're going to take the scriptural reflection now. Thank you. Welcome back to your program, our program, the Interfaith platform. If you're just joining us, we're live and direct from NTA to Network Center, Lagos Network Center here in Lagos. Well, we just had the scriptural reflection. I would like to introduce to you our guest in the house this evening in the studio with me to discuss COVID-19 vaccination and the third wave, role of religious leaders in Nigeria. I have with me His Eminence, Bishop Dr. Sunday Onoa. Bishop Sunday Onoa is the Methodist bishop and also the co-chair of the Interfaith Dialogue for Peace. He is also the president of Vision Africa, that is an interreligious organization working on peace building in Nigeria. Bishop Sunday Onoa, welcome to the Interfaith platform.
Thank you, ma'am, and good evening, our viewers.
Thank you so much that we called on you and you're able to respond to the call of God. Thank you so much. Also in the studio with me, I have one of our eminent scholars and also a teacher of religion and language, a linguist. I have in the house with me Dr. Said Olurutimi Timei. He's the head of Arabic Unit, Department of Foreign Languages, Lagos State University, Ojo. Welcome to the Interfaith platform.
Yeah, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, he's also former chairman, co-chair of the NIREC in Lagos State. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I also have joining the conversation this evening from Washington, D.C. I have Dr. Muhammad Al-Sanusi. Dr. Muhammad Al-Sanusi is the Executive Director, Network for Religious and Traditional Peacemakers. Okay, I have Ajia first. Okay, let me also come back to Ajia. Let me introduce her. I have Dr. Fatima Fanna Meirami. Yeah, she is the program manager at the Nigerian Interfaith Action Association in Abuja. Ajia Dr. Fatima, you're welcome to the Interfaith platform. Okay, thank you. Yeah, also I have, I'm just, sorry for that mix-up. We now have Dr. Muhammad El-Sanusi, who is the Executive Director of the Network for Religious and Traditional Peacemakers, Washington, D.C. office in the United States of America. I have Dr. Muhammad El-Sanusi. You're welcome to the Interfaith platform, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Imam Shafiu. I'm honored to join all of you in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, the topic before this evening, we're looking at the role of religious leaders in the whole effort of combating COVID-19. But we'll go for a short break now. Let's take a commercial break. And when we return, we'll continue with that discussion on COVID-19.
So refreshing, and I just can't get enough. I feel the magic, so you know we're about to turn it up. My biggie, yeah, I got that bass to fun. Ooh yeah, I love it, Biggie is my number one. It's so refreshing, so refreshing, and I just can't get enough. I feel the magic, so you know we're about to turn it up. My biggie, yeah, I got that bass to fun. Ooh yeah, I love it, Biggie is my number one. Biggie,
Nigeria's favorite.
Is religion the opium of the people? Why would anyone fight in God's name? Is God helpless that he needs his creatures to fight for him? Join Imam Shafiu Abdul Karim Majamu and other prominent and peace-loving religious personalities on the Interfaith platform, a live television dialogue program from the three Abrahamic faith traditions, showing on this station every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Let's unite to promote and celebrate our common values for a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. Follow the Interfaith platform on our social media handles and WhatsApp. For advert placement, please call 0703 629 7003 or 805 627 7112.
Yes, welcome back to the Interfaith platform. This evening we'll be discussing COVID-19 and vaccination and the third wave. Also, we'll be looking at faith leaders coming together to help government to accelerate and to speed up the vaccination process and also help to stem the tide of the spread of COVID-19. Like I said, I have with me our guests in the studio with me, and also we also have our guests joining us via Zoom. Bishop, we just had the scriptural reflection on pandemic, plague, and so on. So what is your take on this? How can you bring nearer to the people?
Well, thank you. This is not the first time in human history that there is pandemic. I mean, there's always been crisis or one form of health challenge in the history of humanity. And so what we're experiencing now may be the first time in our time we are seeing this, but it's not the first time the global community has seen crisis in health area. And so from the scriptures, we know that we're not the first to experience the problem. The problem has always been there. And God has always been God. The same God who was with the people of old, with our forefathers, is the same God who is with us today. The same God who spoke through the scriptures is speaking through pulpit managers today, through medical doctors today, through our scientists, so that we can address this very challenge that has come to us.
Thank you.
And we can attack it.
Okay, thank you. So we must really attack. So, Dr. Timei.
Yeah, well, as His Eminence said, pandemics, epidemics have always been a part of human existence. We have experienced it in the past. And history has demonstrated that regardless of your faith tradition, you will always see one of those things that will existentially challenge you. As we are seeing today, it is documented in the Muslim scriptures and the Christian scriptures that people have seen it in the past. There were times these things came as a result of divine punishment. There were times they came as natural phenomena. And what was the response? The first thing is to safeguard that which is the most sacred to God, and that's human life. Whatever we have agreed upon, that this is the best way to combat it. The most sensible thing for somebody who truly believes in God is to adhere to that strictly. Every other thing is secondary. And that's the reason why in Islamic jurisprudence you have darura, the concept of necessity. When you are driven by necessity, you can suspend some of the injunctions. For example, people complained when they said we shouldn't converge for Jummah service. People reacted, so so many people said a lot of things. But in reality, the dearest thing to God, to Allah at that time, is that you protect human life. So it now falls under darura, under necessity. You are driven by necessity at this period to abstain from converging, fine. That's the best thing, because that is the divine will at that time. So we should all come together, support the efforts of the government, and try to make this thing a thing of the past.
Thank you so much. Let me have Dr. Fatima. Dr. Fatima? Yeah, let's have your take on this.
Yes, I can hear you, though your audio is not quite clear.
Okay. Please, what can you say about the COVID-19 and the third wave vis-a-vis our scriptures?
Sorry, the last part of your question?
I said, what can you say about COVID-19 and the third wave? And looking at our scriptural reflection that we just had, going to religion, what does religion say about this?
Okay. As my bishop has said, pandemics are not new. They've existed in history. just about 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu, which was a very large pandemic, and lots of lives were lost. People have not been much aware of pandemics. We are more used to having pandemics which are confined to specific regions. But this is not new. Pandemics have existed. They've existed in the scriptures. We've been told about them. And what we need to understand is these are things that come and go.
Okay. Thank you so much. We need to understand that it has come and it will go. But going, we must actually make effort. Without effort, it won't go. Let me have Dr. Mohammed El Sanusi to add his voice to this, his thoughts to this very important topic.
Yeah, so Imam Shafiu, thank you so much. The audio is not that clear.
Oh, sorry.
So could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we have, this is the third wave of COVID-19. So religiously, how do we manage this? Especially our religious leaders. What are the efforts they should put into this to ensuring that we do not have this third wave hitting hard on Nigerians?
Thank you so much. Let me echo, the bishop and the imam and Dr. Meramai as well. Here, I would like to say that the global pandemic continues to surge around the world, especially led by the more transmissible Delta variant. Despite this trajectory, there are key actions communities can take to curb the spread of the virus. In particularly, I would like to highlight the role of religious leaders in supporting pandemic response and recovery. So as you all know, since the onset of this pandemic and before the appearance of the vaccine, religious actors and leaders, they have been quite active. Their willingness and ability to provide guidance to communities to prevent the spread of the virus. They as well supported equitable vaccines distribution and reduce hesitancy surrounding the virus. So this should not come as a surprise, as mentioned earlier, because the pandemic is not new, as nearly every faith tradition is deeply rooted in service to the community. So religious actors, they do have a role to play, as you know, Imam Shafiu, but how they can support in the new wave, that's the question really we need to tackle. And I'm really delighted that you are bringing the role of religious actors and religious actors to discuss this in Nigeria, a country that is quite important to Africa, a country that is quite, practicing peaceful coexistence in Africa. And the role of religious actors in Nigeria is very critical because, as we all say, if things go right in Nigeria, the entire Africa will go right. So the role religious actors could play, particularly in Nigeria. So we can continue to talk about what kind of role, and we can share our experience in the United States and how we involve religious actors in response to the pandemic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanusi. Thank you so much. Now, coming back to you. Now, we need to drive the whole thing. You, as a leader in Nigeria, what have you been doing, especially with your networks?
Well, thank you. Right now, Dr. Fatima is our program manager. Our team is in the far north right now. They'll be heading back to Abuja tomorrow. They've been there since the past few days. They've been in Lagos, they've been to Enugu, been to various parts of the country, Abia, communicating the message. The business of the faith leaders is to speak out, especially in times like this. We have to face the truth as it is. Let's face the fact. There was a time in this part of the world when it was leprosy. I'm a Methodist clergy. Methodist people set up leprosy center, attacked leprosy, spoke about it, provided health services, and were able to beat leprosy in this part of the world. At another time, it was polio. The faith community came together, interfaith reaction and response. We did not leave the Ministry of Health alone. We formed interfaith languages and communication skills where government could not penetrate. faith leaders came together, and we fought polio and we defeated polio. When immediately COVID came, we all came together, and we have developed languages and skills and toolkit that we're moving around the whole country to communicate the messages. And this is both Christian and messages, Christian and Muslim messages in a toolkit. We are ready. We've rolled off our sleeve. We're only asking government to work with us so that these messages will not be conflicting messages. Because where faith leaders said, obey all the protocols, and we see government not obeying it. Government gatherings violating their own rule. So faith leaders are not comfortable. It means that government is lawless. And faith leaders are saying, government, don't be lawless.
Okay. You act the talk.
You act
whatever
it, yeah.
you say, you act it.
Yes.
Dr. Timei, recently, even before the third wave, and now we're in the third wave, we've been seeing a sort of lackadaisical attitude from some of our religious leaders and followers. What do you have to say on this?
Let me just start from where he started, because it is not true that it's totally lackadaisical. The fact is that when you present something as something that shouldn't be taken seriously, people are not going to take it seriously.
Okay.
For example, there were states in Nigeria that during the lockdown, there were states that did not carry out any lockdown. And there are some neighboring states. I live in Lagos. I'm a Lagosian. I grew up here. I was born here. There are neighboring states that have declared, okay, Monday you go out, Tuesday you don't go out, as if there is a day the virus goes out and
they skip inside.
We are comedians in this country.
Even though in government offices.
In government offices. So at the end of the day, you start thinking, are these people really serious? This is the problem. So that's the reason why religious leaders did not take government seriously. That is one angle to it. The other angle to it is the issue of poverty and illiteracy. Particularly the Muslim communities, you have people who are literate in Arabic who are not literate in English. When most of the communications are presented in English, they feel you're not talking to them. That's another thing, is convincing the religious community. And if the leaders are not convinced, forget about it. The congregation will not be convinced. But the fact is, we have not really made any efforts to reach out to the leaders. It's not just saying come to the government secretariat. There should be functional approaches to meet them, sit down with them, show them video clips of people battling with their lives, show them, let them understand the fact that this thing really exists. People, when they show us video clips of people dying in other countries, we say that is not for us. Is that God forbid? That's not my lot. That's not happening. That is the thing. We have not actually had testimonies of survivors in Nigeria. We have not shown people, Nigerians battling with the thing. So many people are not convinced. Those of us who are convinced are because we have friends out there who have died as a result of this, and we feel no, we should, So the government has not been convincing enough, and we don't seem to have taken the message to the religious communities properly. You have leaflets here. People don't read any longer. So people rely more on audio messages in the languages they are familiar with.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me take Dr. Fatima. You are on the field right now, and I can see that you've been working from one state to the other. Just that maybe you're still in Gombe or just left Gombe. Now, please share with us some of your experiences that you had on the field and how you're actually coordinating this whole effort.
Thank you very much, Imam. The Nigerian Interfaith Action Association is conducting workshops around the country. We're working on an intervention of hope. United States Centers for Disease being implemented in Nigeria, the Nigerian Interfaith Action. This is so as to promote an response, focus, and reinforcing the around COVID, clarify and beliefs that people have and vaccinations, particularly to promote, especially to those individuals. We are leaders because leaders are the voices people listen. They are the trusted.
We are having issue with the audio from that end, maybe the network there. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll continue with the program, the Interfaith platform, and on the discussion. Our discussion this evening is still on COVID-19 vaccination, the role of religious leaders. When we come back, I'll continue with the program.
It's so refreshing, so refreshing, and I just can't get enough. I feel the magic, so you know we about to turn it up. My biggie, biggie, yeah, I got that taste of fun. Ooh yeah, I love it, Biggie is my number one. It's so refreshing, so refreshing, and I just can't get enough. I feel the magic, so you know we better turn it up. My biggie, yeah, I got that taste of fun. Ooh yeah, I love it, Biggie is my number one.
Nigeria's favorite.
Yeah, welcome back to the Interfaith platforms. You're just joining us. We are on the Interfaith platform. There's a program that brings religious and faith leaders to discuss issues of common interest. And this time, COVID-19 does not even know a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew. It affects everyone. So it must be discussed here, and we'll bring in the religious perspective to it. And we've been discussing with our guest in the house. I have Dr. Sunday, Bishop Dr. Sunday Onoha, and also I have Dr. Said Chimei. We also have Ajia Dr. Fatima Fanna Remy, and also Dr. Muhammad El-Sanusi from Washington, D.C. Well, let me go to Washington, D.C. now, and I want Dr. Muhammad El-Sanusi to share with us those best practices that we can actually apply in our own context in Nigeria. Dr. El-Sanusi. Yeah, kindly unmute your unmute your audio, so we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Imam Shafio. As I always say, they are best practices, but it is so important to look into the context. So understanding the context is quite important. So the context for us in the United States, it might not fit what is happening in Nigeria, but we will share our experiences and see how we can, talk about this. So I want to highlight a couple of things. I know that Dr. Mariamai started talking about how important religious actors are as a trusted messenger, how they can counter misinformation, and how religious actors can effectively support government response and measures. For example, religious actors can assist in coordinating and assisting response and recovery efforts during the COVID pandemic. So I want to highlight in the best practice, particularly the role of youth. We saw that around the world. As you know, Imam Shafiu, you are a part of my network, that around the world we saw the youth played a major role in collaborating with religious actors in spreading the accurate information on COVID-19. For example, faith leaders may not have faith leaders and senior faith leaders, they may not have the technical skills to utilize social media. Therefore, the youth can advise on what message and platform religious leaders can use to reach different age group and communities, and particularly those who are vulnerable. It's very important. So it is really an opportunity that we can use to have that strong relationship between youth and senior religious leaders. When looking at the developing effective campaigns to increasing the role of religious actors, it's also important to encourage faith-based actors to be champions for change by doing small actions that can help a big impact in curbing the spread of the virus. And also I wanna highlight the important role of women as well in the addressing the virus and also advancing equitable distribution of vaccine. So these are best practices that we really need to look into it. In the United States, as you know, Imam Shafiu, I coordinated a national Faith for Vaccines table. It became a national table. We have everyone from the Biden administration and religious actors around the world. We meet bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, look into how we can be trusted messengers, how we can, provide access to vaccine to those who are unable, how we can actually advocate for equitable vaccine distribution as well. And the table became a national one recognized by the administration. And we had a summit. We had Dr. Fauci, we had Jeff Zients, the White House COVID-19 response, and we had a summit attended by 800. Now, our challenge as faith leaders in the United States, we cannot look into addressing vaccine issues in our nation, but we need to look into, as a faith leaders, we have a moral obligation to make sure everyone in the world is actually getting the vaccine. And that's our efforts now, since we already reached the herd immunity. 70% of our population is vaccinated. So now we have to look into how we can support the world as well.
So much. Thank you, Dr. El-Sanusi. Thank you for that background and also a direction to what we are discussing. Also, let me also have Aja Fatima. Dr. Fatima, can we still have you? And I want you to respond to some of those strategies that Dr. El-Sanusi just mentioned. And what are we actually doing from all this? And what are we not or we cannot do here in our context?
Well, there are two aspects. One, people to accept the vaccine. To reduce vaccine, to let people know that the vaccines. Secondly, is to ensure that the vaccine people. One of the issues we have in Africa is that equitable distribution of the vaccine. In Nigeria, so far, we've only had 4 million to 2 million people having the vaccine. A few days ago, the Minister of Health announced about 33,000 doses of the vaccine. Now, play a role in ensuring these vaccines get to the people.
Okay, Aja Fatima, thank you so much. The network is not so clear there. We are not getting your messages well. But I think we'll have to bring you next time too, because these are very vital information you are giving, and you are giving to us. Thank you so much, Aja Fatima. Thank you for joining us on the program. Yeah, let me come back. I think, Bishop, you now loud. We can hear from you now. So what?
I think the point Dr. Fatima is making, that this vaccination should not be vaccination for the rich, or vaccination for the mighty, or vaccination for the specially privileged, VIP vaccination. You're vaccinating Mr. President, the Vice President, or the governors, they grabbed all of us and we took the vaccination and pictures were taken, and I saw my pictures everywhere where I was doing vaccination. That's okay. It's okay to take my picture when I've done my vaccination, and the pictures are everywhere. But what is important, what Dr. Fatima is saying, the poor woman in the community that needs this vaccination. If Nigeria is about 200 million people, and you brought how many millions? Which means from the beginning, you didn't intend to succeed.
Like you
well,
said.
like you said. So let's do everything to ensure that. That's what Dr. Fatima is saying. Faith community has mobilized people for this vaccination. Let's ensure that when they come, they'll be vaccinated. That's what Fatima is trying to say. The faith community has the capacity to mobilize.
Exactly.
And we've done it very well because the people trust their faith leaders.
Yeah.
When their imam or their pastor preach and speak, they believe in them because they don't have trust deficit. They have lived through the system for their members to believe in them. So all we are asking government is when we speak to our people and they respond, let government be available to ensure that what we say is what's going to happen. It makes us liars when we encourage people to go to centers and they arrive at the center and there is nothing that can help the people. It doesn't help. I also think that in any state or any community where the leader of the community takes faith community seriously, things happen. I'm from Abia State. My governor, from the inception of the problem, called the faith communities together, called the bishops and the imams and said, listen, help us to succeed. The faith community came together. And that is why the success you have in Abia, because the governor of the state handed the communication thing into the faith leaders. And using the media, the Vision Africa radio, the pastors and the imams came to the radio station, started talking about it. And that is why it appears in Abia, there was to a large extent, a success story. Because the governor knew that the faith leaders can deliver and handed over to them to deliver, and they delivered.
So thank you so much. Yeah, the government in that aspect, meaning that in some states, some government are actually working with faith leaders. Well, Dr. Timei, one of the problems we're facing now is that the people don't even believe, some people are afraid of taking the vaccine.
And that's the problem. You see, it's not just about the vaccine. There are people who do not believe COVID-19 exists. That's the simple truth. They don't believe it exists. The few who believe it exists have been exposed to false narratives, and the government has not done anything to rewrite those narratives in their mind. It has not been corrected, so everybody is afraid of taking vaccine. You know, there are these short video clips they share on WhatsApp telling you terrible things. You know, I have a friend who is a consultant at the University of Maryland in the U.S. I had to call him because he's a specialist in infectious diseases. I called him and said, look at all of this. He said, whoever says the vaccine is not safe is not speaking scientifically.
Okay.
So he said, please encourage people to take it. I started encouraging people, but when you see academics, professors telling you there is nothing like that, what do you expect of the common man on the street? It shows we have not actually reached the people. Those of us in the faith communities can convince our congregation, but not everybody that comes to church or mosque. It is not everybody. In fact, most Nigerians don't attend the religious places. They only wait for the time of festivals. So this is the problem. So how do we reach all these people? How do you convince them? Somebody who is not convinced that he needs vaccine will not come for the vaccine. Okay. And already the program for vaccine itself is faulty. We have over 100 million people. We have made provision for just 4 million. So what are you talking about? So I think we should, because it requires a multi-sectoral approach. Okay. The religious communities, the people in the media, the market union organizations, all of these people should come together. Let the government use the various experts we have to convince them. When they are convinced, everybody goes home. We feel, you know, we're just lucky in Nigeria. Maybe God in his infinite wisdom knows the reason why he has done it the way he has done it. That's why we think it doesn't exist. Because you cannot tell an Indian it doesn't exist. So you cannot tell an Indian it doesn't exist.
And you know the danger in that, even in India, during the first wave or the second wave, they were looking at it. It's not something.
It wasn't something serious.
It actually hit hard on them.
Maybe there is something about our immunity we don't know. It's just that God has been so merciful to us. He knows we don't even really have the wherewithal to fight it. Maybe that's the reason he has been so merciful. But we shouldn't abuse that grace of God. We should really work on it, reach out to the various stakeholders, let everybody be involved. Exactly. If it has not happened, if it is not happening, you have seen it happening in South Africa, you have seen it in India, you've seen it all over the world, then you should know that with the passage of time, it may come. And when it comes, what are you going to do?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Dr. Timei. We need to be proactive, and we must ensure that we work along with other people who are actually fighting the pandemic. Well, let's go to the public. We have people also around that are adding their voices to this conversation. Let's take the voice pop, and when we return, I will continue with your program, the Interfaith platform.
Yes, I have.
Yes. I'm not. I believe COVID-19 is real. I don't believe on COVID-19.
Yes, you know, COVID-19 is very real. It's unfortunate that some people think it's a myth till now. COVID-19 is very real. It's spreading fast. I'm doing a course in Unilag where last week we had a victim that they had to shut the school down. Last 2 weeks. So COVID is very real. It's still in our mix, and nobody should even take it for granted.
I advise them to be vaccinated because it's very important. Many people have died in many countries, and we have seen it. And our brothers here in Nigeria, most of them, they are dying. They don't die because of the virus. So it's real, it's real.
I believe that all religious leaders, like pastors, like imams, should take it upon themselves and educate their members. Because funny enough, these religious people, whatever they say, the members take it serious. So I'm using this medium to tell every religious leader or everybody that has the ability to convince his people, to tell these people that, look, COVID is real and they should get vaccine, they should protect themselves, and they should live for a better tomorrow.
Thank you. Welcome back from that voice pop. We can hear from some even say they don't even believe in that we have the Unilag case, and if we are not even talking about anything in Lagos, and we just add on the news, we just have the index now 365 today alone. Well, before I come back to you, let me go to Washington D.C. and so we can Dr. Senusi, can you just in a short advice to religious leaders in Nigeria before you go? Thank you. Short advice to Nigerian religious. Thank you.
Yeah, if I understood the question correctly, advice to religious actors in how to deal with the vaccine distribution or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Let me just support what Dr. Imam said earlier. This needs a comprehensive approach, a collaboration between all segments of society, whether it is government or civil society organizations. And this brings me to the United Nations SDG 17, which is really calling for that kind of partnership in addressing the crisis and the pandemic that we are facing as a crisis right now. We need that collaboration with government, with civil society, which include religious actors and religious leaders, to address all the problems that were mentioned earlier. As I agree, some people, they actually deny the existence of the pandemic itself.
Amen.
And as I said earlier, Nigeria, you do have experience. I remember we work with the Sultan Foundation, the Sultan of Sokoto. I work with Cardinal John Anaikans and the bishop here and others to address the issue of polio, if you remember. We talked with religious actors and religious leaders, and we addressed the polio issue. So Nigeria, you do have experience, so you can address this issue. And your experience you can also share with the rest of Africa. Our big challenge now, Sister Mariamai was saying earlier, Nigeria is a country of 200 million people. 50% are Muslims and 50% are Christians. Today, we have only 4 million vaccinated, or maybe less.
Mm-hmm.
How we can address this issue? We need the world to look into this. The world to look into this. We need to talk to COVAX. We need to talk to the WHO. We need to make sure that vaccine is available for the people in Nigeria. And that's where your role as religious actors become quite critical. And the government needs to recognize that. This is what I suggest. As I always say, we share our experience, but we do not impose. You know your context better than all of us, but we share our experience. But we recognize the important role of religious actors and civil society organizations in addressing any kind of crisis because of the history that was mentioned earlier, because of the trust as a trusted messenger, because of your critical reach to the masses. Any country, when country face crisis, we know people don't disassociate themselves from worship places. People go to the synagogue, people go to the churches and mosques and worship places, and they trust religious actors because these are the people with them at the grassroots level, whether we are in a good time or bad time. So that's why, government and international organizations must work with religious actors and civil society organizations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope we can invite all of you in our table in Washington as we resume in September and sharing your experience to the world as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Sanusi. Thank you for that guidance. We really appreciate that. Aja Fatima, you are explaining certain things to us, and I think at this point, Dr. Al-Sanusi just mentioned that I also read from the World Bank release this morning, the COVAX, and millions of dollars they are investing in the vaccine. And Nigeria being, government just making available 4 million. Maybe that was what the government could get. Do you know what I'm saying? But we can as well, there's what we call the interfaith voice. Maybe some of the solution is for us to bring our voices together and see how we can make government get more of this. Bishop, in building a strong voice for vaccine.
We've done it, like we said, in malaria, and we brought our voice together and brought the World Bank, and we fought malaria and we're fighting malaria. We did it in polio, and nobody believed that Nigeria would be certified. And we fought it, the faith community came together, and we fought it together with our international community, collaboration with all the partners. Here is COVID-19. I believe that all the voices must come together in collaboration with our international community. And this is a time good enough. NIFA is an establishment of the Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs and Christian Association of Nigeria, for which I head. The only organization put together by the whole Christians and the whole Muslims in the country for health intervention. And we've done it on malaria, on polio, and here we come with COVID. And we will defeat this COVID, and it will run away.
Okay, Dr. Timei, advice, and also to the imams and using the pulpit, the sermons on Fridays and the pastors on Sundays.
Well, I think I would like to reach out to the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs to reach out to the imams, because it's easier for them to communicate with the imams. When the Supreme Council is convinced, then the imams at the various state levels will be convinced, and it will go down like that. There should be concerted efforts at making the imams convinced that this is a battle we must all fight together, and because when they talk, I have personally spoken to people who would tell me our sheikh did not say that.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
So if the Supreme Council reaches out to the imam, then the imam reaches out to his people, then I think we will be going to the next level.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to thank all my guests this evening. Ajia, Dr. Fatima Merami, thank you so much for that great effort you're making. And I promised that, inshallah, we're going to bring you back on this program so you can share more of this. We'll continue to talk about this COVID-19 until we're able to defeat COVID-19 in Nigeria. I also thank Dr. El Sanusi from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for that great effort you're making and trying to also carry Nigeria along. Also, my great Bishop Sunday Onoha in the house with me, and Dr. Said Oluretime. Thank you so much. I also like to thank our sponsors on this program, Right Foods Nigeria Limited, makers of Biggie Brands, Biggie Drinks, and also Fearless, Biggie Water, and also assorted soft drink. Kindly patronize Biggie. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all those who have made this program a reality today. And we pray that Almighty God will continue to be with every one of us. The management of NTA2 Lagos Network Center, thank you. I also thank Alhaji Tajuddin Kayode Uzamat for his kind support on this program. And all the Foundation for Ethnic Understanding, thank you. Alliance of Rabbis in Islamic State, thank you. The CAN, thank you. Christian Association of Nigeria, Christian Association of Nigeria, Interfaith Dialogue Forum for Peace. We also thank you, Bishop. Thank you so much for coming. Until next week, when we shall converge again for another edition of the Interfaith platform. I'm your sincere host, Imam Shafiu Abdul Karim Majam, saying shalom, peace, ma'asala.
Salam, shalom. We can live in peace. Salam, shalom. We can live in peace. Salam, shalom. We can live in peace. Salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom.
One expert. Enjoy true feelings, a flood of emotions, the taste of victory. Are you ready? Use promo code and get 200% bonus.
We are StarTimes, the most affordable digital pay.